I'm working on a game called Salem, and Salem is an MMO set in a mutable world that players can change and affect, and it's called the crafting MMO, and the basic feature of the game is that the entire world that players play in and interact in is mutable and affectable by players, and that's the kind of basic premise of the game, that it's a multiplayer game with actual multiplayer aspects. The game is obviously set in the New World and during the time of the 13 colonies in the New World, and players can more or less do anything that a normal colonist would be able to do, like farm or fish or hunt or forage is a big item on the list of things to do, and build obviously is a big aspect of the game. Building churches and spreading a civilization to the New World is kind of one of the essential kind of lore premises of the game. In the first 2 weeks of Salem, players will have acquired a set of new skills. They will have kind of trekked out into the wilderness, away from the starting area that we call Boston, and they will have found themselves in the wilderness, kind of on the edge of the end of civilization, sort of, and they will have built up a little settlement, acquired some skills, leveled up their bodily humors or fluids a little bit, and have crafted some new stuff, like some new clothes maybe, some new weapons, some new tools. They'll have built some new things, like have a little cabin going, a little oven going maybe, a little kiln going. They'll have chopped down a couple of trees, probably made some sort of impact on the map, changed a couple of things like that, and also killed a couple of deers or whatever that they now have hanging to dry in the drying frame, ready to be made into sweet, wonderful leather, etc., etc., etc. They'll probably be fishing, maybe, I don't know. It's kind of up to them. The 4 humors are leveled up by eating food, and basically what we have is a system where we call it the gluttony system, and basically what you do when in gluttony mode is that you can eat as much food as you want. You can basically stuff yourself with food, and the food varies along certain dimensions, and you need to basically eat correct sequences of food in order to achieve a level up in one of the humors. And obviously the more you are leveled up, the more problematic it gets, and the more advanced kinds of foodstuffs you will need. Like eventually you will need to compose little cheese plates and whatnot in order to have like meaningful food that you can actually use. Like the noob food won't be good for you anymore. The setting that we have chosen, like with colonial America, it's one that's never been explored before by an MMO. It's one that has barely been explored, especially like from our perspective, where we're doing kind of a fantastical H.P. Lovecraft, Alice in Wonderlandish kind of take on colonial America. I think that's given us, a great creative space to kind of be working in with lots of like, Sleepy Hollow-ish themes that we can kind of draw from, and themes from Gothic American tradition that we can use in like building and making our little game. So yes, it's definitely a very interesting creative space to be working in. There's obviously the opportunity for players in this kind of mutable sandbox experience to actually hurt each other, and I think that's, I've said it before, that I think it's a necessary feature of an MMO like this, that there are opportunities to kind of resolve conflicts and to have conflicts and to resolve them with some finality in the sense that you can actually hurt other players really badly. And sure, there's a darkness to that, but I think darkness and light are contrasts, no? They kind of depend on each other. Permadeath means that when your character dies, you lose that character, and essentially, I mean, you have an inheritance system, so you will, like, your next character will start with, some amount of skills and some amount of, like, leveled up body humors or whatever. But what you lose is basically, you lose your character name, you lose your character's buddy list, you lose everything that you had on your character, like the stuff isn't automatically inherited or anything like that. So basically it means that you have to create a new character. The players need to know that the world is, they can get hurt, and it kind of makes the experience more meaningful to them, I believe. That when you know that you have something to lose, you actually, it kind of starts to matter more. You don't know what you have until you lose it, and in a game where you can't lose anything, you'll never know what you have. Parts of it are very hard to balance, like the actual siege mechanics, for example, can be almost hellish to balance, but at the same time, a lot of the core mechanics that we have in place, like we have a scent and a tracking system, for example, and I think the fundamentals of many of those systems are very sound. I think Minecraft was a great example of a game that really let players just be creative. I mean, Minecraft lets players run completely wild with their creativity, and will put like some lore limits on there. I mean, our game is more like a role-playing game, whereas Minecraft is more like Lego. Just the other night, we implemented an awesome shovel that you can use to shovel dirt from one place to another, and I can also reveal that I spent the better part of like 2 past days just building a huge hill. And it's a big hill now, but I've worked a lot for it, so I consider it my hill. I'm very proud of it. I'm sure I do have some sort of latent desire to get back to nature. I think Robert Heinlein has an awesome quote where he said that an accomplished man should be able to write, and then there's a whole list of things that an accomplished man should be able to do, like, you know, write a symphony and, you know, change a diaper and repair a car and et cetera, et cetera. And the quote ends with the statement that specialization is for insects, and I kind of think that that's really says a lot.